Okay, welcome Gary and Dawn. Trying to give you a bit of a overview of the 10-acre plot on Mull, or 10-acre croft on Mull. So this first shot is from the house site, and that's just me doing a full rotation, Ben Moor over there and the Berg. That's from about level 1 of where a ground floor, and then we're going up to a first floor. If you had a first floor and full rotation there, looking west, a bit of sea view out to the west as well. And then back round to the Berg, and that's the road running along there. There's a telephone box. Just by the telephone box is where the shared entrance is to the land. We'll see that in a minute. And then you've got some sort of small shrubby trees which kind of crosses the land actually. Rough grazing, rough pasture. And then the further east that you go along here, which is, we're sort of travelling southeast at the moment, it gets wetter. You can see that there is an internal fence line which has been put in to protect stock from the wettest of it, and that wettest bit, which is right over to the east, we'll see that later on, actually is, it's not really usable. But the internal fence that's just in the bottom right of our screen just now does protect stock from that worst bit. Just coming back over, looking along, there's actually been a little bit of quarrying in there, and there's potential house sites right along here. You could go further round, like you could go in here as well. Where I am and where that is in the corner, it's the western boundary there, and it does give a really nice position. You're quite sheltered from the southerlies because of that bit behind me, and you get these amazing views. Now that's looking pretty much directly north, but in the summer months you're getting such high sun all day it doesn't affect your sun at all. You could bring it out a little bit to get more winter sun. And this is us now. We're on the sort of going up to the higher part of the land, just a tiny little rise above that little craggy outcrop. Again, that's the western boundary, and that's us looking north. I'm making myself and you guys probably feel a little sick. Sorry about my flying skills. Looking towards Benesson Bay. So from the higher part of the land you do get views right into the bay as well. And the previous owner had applied for planning permission for up where I'm standing now, and I believe he'd been turned down for that, and I think that's because it would have been on the skyline. You would get 360 amazing views from that position, as you'll see in a minute, but you'd be really exposed. So this is just to try and give you an idea of the type of terrain that we're looking at. So it's not had stock on it for quite a long time, so I think it will come better than it is once it's been looked after. There's a possibility that you could get planning for this spot, or one could get planning for this spot. I say that because there's a roof line you'll see there, just behind me there's a roof line that's at the same height roughly as you'd be with a single story dwelling up here. Again, it's pretty exposed up there, so I'm not sure if it was me, I'm not sure I'd choose to build right on the top, but you would get amazing 360s. So this is now the highest point of the land, looking towards the sort of southwestern boundary, and this is the sort of 360 from that highest point of the land. Ben Moore. That's the western boundary, so we're going to go now down the western boundary all the way to the southern boundary. Again, I think this up here, I'm no expert, but to me this probably would be good rough grazing. I think there were cattle on here before, and as I think I said to you on the phone, people have said to me that native sheep would probably be okay up here. So that is the southern boundary, and now we are going sort of looking north again, or that's the southern point, and this nice little ridge line on the left there, I really like that bit. And then this boundary is the kind of eastern, sort of southeast boundary, and back over to the wet part I was talking about before. So we should be able to see, I think this is us coming up to the actual boundary at the eastern side, and in a moment we'll see that internal fence that I was talking about that protects stock from this piece of land here, and you can see the change in the land actually where that fence line is. There's the eastern boundary. Yeah, I missed, oh there it is, there's the internal fence line. And then this is coming back up to the top high point, and then for some reason I do a couple of over enthusiastic 360s, it makes you feel a bit sick. And that is the end, that is the bit there. So hope that's been useful, and see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers.